And that's all we have for you in terms of our regional international news. Be sure to catch more stories coming through in the second edition. Right, we just want to take a look quickly at the arts. And this morning in studio, we are joined by an artist. She is a journalist as well, an adventurer, thrill seeker, and an amazing author. Miss Loveness Berry, good morning and welcome to Good Morning Zimbabwe.
Good morning.
Rumbidzayi.
Rumbidzayi.
We are giving you good names, new names today. Rumbidzayi, Kahari, how are you, dear?
I am fine, thank you, Zaza.
Lovely.
Yourself?
We are good. Right, we're going to be looking at some of the work that you've been working on, and I do see that there is a beautiful book right here. It is called The Day and Night Came. Okay, I'm just going to read a bit of the insert there at the back. It says, this book is a dramatization of actual events based on Cyclone Idai, which hit 3 countries in Southern Africa, namely Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Malawi. And this story is told through the eyes of fictional young journalists in Zimbabwe. Tell us a little bit more about this book. What does it entail, and why should we be reading this?
This book, I believe, is a celebration of our nationhood. Mm-hmm. Out of every tragedy, if you look closely, there's always something good behind it. So when the idea of this book came, as a journalist, people take various angles.
Yes.
The angle that I chose was that one of the extreme unity that we showed as a country.
Absolutely.
It's something that we experienced in the 80s for some of us who were around, who were born.
Yes.
But for people who were not around in the 80s, during the time they had sort of missed what is being a Zimbabwean, what is the sense of nationhood.
Yes.
And so when Cyclone Idai hit us, despite all that was going on, everybody put everything aside to help people in Chimanimani. And it was something that was just so glorious to see. Mm-hmm. And it was a moment that I felt needed to be captured.
Absolutely.
For future generations. You always need a precedent. That we did it before.
Yes.
If we came together during Cyclone Idai, we can do it again.
And we can even assist other people as well.
Exactly. Which is what we did in the 80s. In the 80s, it was Zimbabwe that came up with the concept of reconciliation.
Yes.
And then South Africa now also adopted it when Nelson Mandela came out of prison.
Yes.
So yes, it's you are not only doing this for yourselves, but you're also doing it especially for the future generations, future young Zimbabweans who are going to come, to see when we have problems in our country or when a tragedy strikes us, this is how we handle it, because we've done it before.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, when we take a look at this book, what style of writing did we use for this particular book?
It's mostly dialogue because the story is being told from journalists.
Yes.
Who go into this area and they talk about what is happening. But with Cyclone Idai, not everything that was happening happened in Chimanimani. There was a lot of stuff happening in Harare. There was stuff happening in Matebeleland. There was a lot of stuff. So I felt it was important to capture all that and put it in a book instead of just focusing on what was happening there, Chimanimani.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of dialogue going on in there, and one day when it's made into a movie, it will be much easier for them to write the script. Yes.
I'm looking at this is chapter 9, page 75, and the headline, obviously, for me is the one that captivated me the most. Good morning, Zimbabwe. March 14, 2019. It is 6 a.m. Sounds like me doing an intro for the Good Morning show. So obviously, I love the way it's captioned here. You've also written other books in the past. Tell us a little bit more about that.
As you introduced me as an adventurer.
Yes.
I also wrote Lost in Africa. This was actually my first book. Lost in Africa was more about my adventures through Africa, which were quite accidental.
Oh, wow.
Because I was working for a multinational, and then I found myself as an expatriate in South Africa. And then when that gig, as the young people say these days, ended, I found myself now working in various African countries. I worked in South Africa, and I found myself traveling to Botswana. Then I found myself in East Africa, Uganda, which was beyond my wildest dreams. But in all that, I learned, I had the full sense of what it is to be an African.
Fantastic.
And having all my beliefs, you know, sort of like crushed, because you think, oh, we're all the same.
Yes.
But it was, so I wrote a book, Lost in Africa, because although I was home in Africa, in some instances, I felt very lost.
Oh, wow.
So that's where the adventurer part comes from.
All right. So, well, there we have it. We've got the book Lost in Africa, as well as The Day Night Came. A beautiful two books there that are by Rumbidzayi Kahari. Rumbi, before we leave and hand it over to Innocent, who's our sportscaster, where can we find you on social media? And obviously, if we would like to get in touch, getting a copy of the books.
Zaza, let me just quickly say that the proceeds for all The Day Night Came are going to go towards charity for children who were orphaned by Cyclone Idai.
Right.
70% girls and 30% boys.
Wow.
So I'd like to urge all Zimbabweans to support this book so that we can send more children to school.
Absolutely.
And I can be found on social media.
Yes.
I am on YouTube under Rumbidzayi Caroline. I am on Facebook, Rumbidzayi Caroline. And I'm also on WhatsApp, 073-517-6030.
Absolutely.
So I look forward to your support, Zimbabweans, because we did it before. We can do it again.
Rumbidzayi, thank you so much for coming through on Good Morning Zimbabwe. And we do appreciate you being with us, telling us about the great projects you're working on and the adventure side of your life.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, we've just been speaking to the wonderful Rumbidzayi Kahari, author extraordinaire and adventurer extraordinaire. But yeah, there we have it. The two books are out, and you can definitely come through. It is time